Ram just dropped an announcement that might shake up the auto world in 2025, and honestly, it couldn't come at a better time. The car industry's been in a bit of a funk lately, with many automakers struggling to move vehicles off lots. Ram's been feeling the pressure more than most, to the point where some top execs have already started jumping ship. But instead of quietly backing down, the company decided to make a bold move. They're slashing prices in a big way. This unexpected pivot is already sending shockwaves through competitors like Ford and GM. Not only could this help Ram bounce back, but it might even give them a shot at grabbing a bigger slice of the market. So, what exactly does this price cut mean for consumers and for Ram's future? Well, buckle up because this could be the beginning of a wild ride. Not long ago, Stellantis, the parent company behind Ram, Jeep, Dodge, and Chrysler, was cruising at the top of the auto game. Their lineup had something for everyone. Sleek Chrysler sedans, rugged Jeeps built for the great outdoors, and Dodge muscle cars that felt like pure adrenaline on wheels. They weren't just selling cars, they were defining American roads. Fast forward to today, though, and things look very different. It's like Stellantis hit a major pothole. The company seems stuck, struggling to adapt in a rapidly changing market. Take Jeep, for example. It used to be the ultimate badge of adventure. You'd see Jeeps scaling mountains in commercials, or splashing through mud in national park ads. But those days feel far behind. Since 2018, Jeep sales have nosedived a staggering 44%. That's nearly half their customer base gone in just a few years. And Jeep isn't the only one hurting. Dodge, once the king of muscle cars, has lost much of its street cred. Remember the days when the Charger and Challenger ruled the roads? Those cars weren't just fast, they were iconic. But lately, it feels like Dodge slammed on the brakes. Sales have plummeted by 67%, leaving fans wondering what happened to the muscle. Then there's Chrysler, and its story hits a little differently. Chrysler once stood for American luxury and innovation. These were the cars you'd see at parades, red carpets, and upscale driveways. Now, the brand is barely hanging on, struggling to stay relevant in a world shifting fast toward electric and high-tech vehicles. So what's at the heart of Stellantis' slide? Honestly, it boils down to one major issue: pricing. For years, Stellantis has been known for putting premium price tags on its vehicles, and it's finally catching up with them. Take the Ram 1500 Tungsten, for instance. It's a fancier, more luxurious pickup, sure, but at the end of the day, it's still a truck. And yet, walk into a dealership and you'll see it priced at over $100,000. That's not just expensive, it's out of touch. Most people aren't willing to drop six figures on a truck, no matter how nice it is. This is exactly why Ram's new pricing strategy is such a big deal. By making their vehicles more accessible, they're not just trying to boost sales, they're aiming to reclaim their spot on the road and in consumers' minds. Whether this gamble pays off remains to be seen, but one thing's for sure: Ram just put the industry on notice. And it's not just the trucks. Stellantis has a pricing problem across the board. What once made brands like Jeep so appealing was their promise of rugged adventure at a price most people could afford. These were vehicles meant to tackle trails, not sit pretty in a valet line. But lately, Jeep price tags have started to sound more like luxury weekend retreats than trailblazing getaways. SUVs that should be practical, family-friendly, and reasonably priced are creeping dangerously close to luxury brand territory. Even Dodge, the muscle car brand known for packing punch at a budget, seems to be drifting toward premium pricing, with less focus on raw horsepower and more on upscale features. And the issue isn't just with a few select models. It's across the entire Stellantis lineup. Crossovers and compact SUVs, which have become staples for modern families, are now being priced like luxury imports. Somewhere along the way, Stellantis seems to have lost touch with its core customers. These cars were never meant to be niche or exclusive. They were built for real people with real needs and real budgets. Now think about who Stellantis is leaving behind. Picture a young family shopping for their first SUV. They're not looking for anything fancy, just something safe, roomy, reliable, and most importantly, affordable. Or imagine a first-time truck buyer, maybe a contractor, maybe just someone who enjoys weekend DIY projects. They walk into a dealership hoping to find a dependable, hard-working truck. Instead, they're met with sticker shock and walk right back out, probably quicker than a Dodge Hellcat at a green light. And where do they go instead? Over to Ford or Chevy, where pricing is more grounded. Or maybe Toyota, where value and reliability have long gone hand in hand. The result? Stellantis has effectively priced itself out of its own market. The everyday drivers, the ones who built these brands and household names, are now being pushed aside. And with rival automakers offering solid, competitive vehicles without the luxury-level costs, it's no surprise that Stellantis sales have been on a steady decline. But now, they're doing something about it, and the entire auto industry is taking notice. In a move that's turning heads, Stellantis just announced sweeping price cuts across its entire lineup. And this isn't just a flashy headline or clever marketing spin. We're talking real, meaningful reductions, up to 35% off. That's not trimming the fat. That's slicing off nearly a third of the cost. Let that sink in. And here's the kicker. This change isn't some distant promise. It's happening soon. Starting in the second quarter of 2025, these new lower prices will begin rolling out across all Stellantis brands. Take that infamous Ram 1500 Tungsten as an example. Once a $100,000 truck that raised more eyebrows than it sold units, it's now set to come down to around $65,000. Suddenly, it's not just a showpiece. It's a real competitor, priced in line with Ford, Chevy, and GMC. But this isn't just about slashing prices for the sake of headlines. Stellantis knows the truck and SUV market is a battlefield. Ford and GM have dominated for years, but now Stellantis is signaling that it's ready to fight for relevance and market share. And honestly, this is good news not just for Stellantis, but for everyday drivers too. Lower sticker prices mean smaller monthly payments, more manageable financing, and, for many families, a shot at owning a vehicle that once felt out of reach. It could mean the end of the sticker shock that's driven buyers away, and the start of a real comeback. Not just for Stellantis, but for the millions of customers they're hoping to win back. Of course, not everyone's going to be cheering over Stellantis' big price cuts, especially not the folks who just drove home in a brand new Dodge or Jeep SUV at full price. Imagine dropping $75,000 on a top-of-the-line model, only to find out a few months later that it's now worth $25,000 less. That kind of sudden depreciation isn't just frustrating, it's a gut punch. Most buyers go into a purchase like that expecting their investment to hold its value for at least a few years, or at the very least, lose value slowly. That expectation helps make those steep monthly payments feel worth it. But when resale values drop overnight, it leaves a sour taste, and understandably so. No one likes feeling like they overpaid, especially not by tens of thousands of dollars. It stings, emotionally and financially. And the only real way to soften the blow? Keep the car. Drive it. Use it. Make it worth your while over time. It's not the most glamorous solution, but it's a practical one. Stretching the lifespan of that vehicle can help balance out the early hit in value. For many, it's the only way to make peace with the purchase. This situation is also a wake-up call for future buyers. Quick depreciation is real, and it's something that should factor into your buying decision. Before you sign those papers, ask yourself, am I planning to keep this vehicle for the long haul? If the answer is no, you might want to reconsider, or at least do some serious price shopping. Timing and longevity matter more than ever in today's auto market. But here's the thing, Stellantis isn't slashing prices to upset loyal customers. They're doing it to survive. And when you zoom in on Ram, the urgency becomes even clearer. Ram trucks have always had a bit of swagger. They've been the tough guys on the job site that could clean up nice for a night out. For years, they nailed that balance between rugged capability and everyday style. But lately, it feels like they've been leaning too hard into premium pricing and drifting away from what made them great in the first place. Some of the newer Ram models have gone from workhorses to showroom trophies, built more for admiration than action. The price tags are pushing them out of reach for the very people who once counted on them. And while Ram was busy polishing the chrome, rivals like Ford and GM were rolling up their sleeves and getting to work. Ford had been pushing the F-150 Lightning, bringing electric innovation to the pickup world without losing touch with its roots. GM, on the other hand, has been quietly building out a solid EV lineup that mixes sleek design with real utility. And both brands have stayed aggressive on pricing, offering deals that are hard to ignore. Remember 2024? It was a buyer's dream if you were shopping for a truck. Ford and GM were locked in a pricing battle that felt more like a heavyweight title match. One brand would drop an incentive, and the other would punch back with an even better deal. You could walk into a Ford dealership, test drive an F-Series, then head to GM and basically ask them to beat it. And odds are they would. For buyers, it was like Black Friday rolled into every day of the year. In that kind of climate, Stellantis couldn't afford to keep playing hard to get. Sky-high prices just weren't going to cut it. They had to make a move, and this massive price drop, that's the move. It's Stellantis standing up and saying, we're not out of the game yet. It's a sign that Ram, Dodge, Jeep and Chrysler are ready to compete again. And maybe, just maybe, it's the start of something big. Let's talk about Stellantis for a minute. Oh man, where do we even begin? While Ford and GM were locked in a full-on pricing war, throwing out aggressive discounts and marketing like their lives depended on it, Stellantis seemed content to just watch. No big promotions, no eye-catching deals, no bold moves. It was like they saw the battlefield and thought, you know what? We'll just sit this one out. And in the ultra-competitive world of trucks and SUVs, the kind of passivity is basically a death sentence. Every customer in this market is a hard-fought win, and Stellantis didn't even step into the ring. So, it's no surprise that while Ford and GM were racking up wins and boosting their numbers, Stellantis saw its sales take a nosedive. That old phrase, you snooze, you lose? Stellantis didn't just snooze. They hit the snooze button over and over until it nearly broke. But now, it seems like they're finally waking up, and not just with a stretch and a yawn. We're talking full-blown alarm clock smashed, coffee chugged, emergency mode kind of energy. Stellantis is making headlines with an aggressive new strategy, slashing prices across the board by as much as 35%. That's not a tweak. That's a statement. It's bold, it's loud, and honestly, it's exactly what they needed to do. Because if they're serious about clawing back relevance in today's cutthroat market, they've got to offer something that makes buyers stop and think twice, and fast. A few months back, Stellantis released some numbers that really turn heads. Global vehicle shipments were down 20% in the third quarter compared to the same period last year. Not great, but when you zoom in on North America, things look even worse. Shipments plunged by a jaw-dropping 36%. That's not a slump, that's a free fall. But here's where things get a little more nuanced. Despite the steep drop in shipments, actual sales were only down 15% during that same time frame. Still a decline, sure, but not nearly as brutal as the shipping numbers. So what gives? Why the big gap between what's being shipped and what's actually being sold? Well, it comes down to a couple of smart shifts in Stellantis strategy. First, they've been trimming the lineup, cutting underperforming models and focusing more on the vehicles that actually have shot at moving the needle. It's a quality over quantity move, and in a market this tough, going lean and strategic might be the smartest play they've made in a while. Second, dealerships are handling inventory very differently than they used to. Gone are the days of flooding lots with every model under the sun, hoping something sticks. These days, dealers are being a lot more selective, only accepting vehicles they know they can move. After all, no one wants to be stuck with overpriced, slow-moving inventory, just collecting dust and losing value. And let's be real, this isn't just a North American headache for Stellantis. The shipment declines hit across the board. Asia Pacific, China, India, Europe, the Middle East, Africa. It's global. This isn't just a one-region slip-up. It's a company-wide reality check. The message is loud and clear. What used to work just doesn't anymore. But if this bold, new pricing strategy is any indication, Stellantis is finally ready to stop watching from the sidelines and start fighting to win again. That's a lot of ground to cover, but it really puts into perspective just how much Stellantis is up against right now. And honestly, it's not hard to see why. The auto industry isn't just evolving. It's in the middle of a full-blown transformation. Supply chain issues are still hanging around. Consumer behavior is shifting faster than ever, and electric vehicles are rewriting the rules across the board. In a world moving at this speed, you're either riding the wave or you're getting pulled under. And right now, Stellantis feels like it's still treading water while the competition is surfing straight into the future. Meanwhile, Ford and GM, they're not just keeping up, they're out here stealing the show. They've embraced the EV revolution with full force, rolling out sleek, futuristic vehicles packed with cutting-edge tech. These aren't just cars and trucks. They're rolling showcases of what's next. You sit inside one of their newest models, and it feels like you're on the bridge of Starship. It's clean, it's smart, it's seamless. They've figured out how to make innovation feel exciting. Stellantis, on the other hand, is still leaning hard on the models that once ruled the road, but are starting to show their age. Take Ram trucks, for example. And yeah, this one stings. Ram used to be the symbol of blue-collar grit. Trucks that meant business Monday through Friday, then turned into adventure machines on the weekend. But lately, they're drifting away from that core identity. And nowhere is that more obvious than in their decision to retire the legendary Hemi V8. Let's not sugarcoat it. That engine wasn't just a spec on a brochure. It was an icon. That low guttural growl. The way it rumbled to life like a beast waking up. For a lot of truck lovers, owning a Hemi was about more than just horsepower. It was pride. It was soul. And now Stellantis is replacing it with the twin-turbo Hurricane engine. Yes, the Hurricane is impressive on paper. More efficient, more powerful in some trims, and definitely more in line with emissions targets. But emotionally, it just doesn't hit the same. It's like trading your old, worn-in leather jacket for a brand-new windbreaker. Sure, it's technically better, but does it make you feel the same? Not really. And here's where Ford deserves a ton of credit. When they introduced the EcoBoost V6, they didn't just rip the V8 out and hope nobody noticed. They were strategic. They gave buyers the option, modern efficiency with EcoBoost, or that classic 5.0L Coyote V8 if you still wanted to feel every growl under your foot. That flexibility was everything. It said, we get you. We're moving forward, but we're not forgetting where we came from. And it worked. Stellantis, though, they're taking the riskier route, dropping the Hemi entirely without offering a true emotional replacement. No bridge, no safety net, just a sharp turn into unfamiliar territory. And why? Well, it's probably straight out of the corporate playbook. Better fuel economy, lower emissions, easier production. From a business standpoint, it makes perfect sense. But for die-hard fans, the ones who grew up dreaming about V8s and that unmistakable roar, it feels like the heart's been ripped out. That's the balancing act Stellantis is struggling with right now. Progress is essential, but lose your identity along the way, and all the innovation in the world won't save you. On paper? Sure, it all checks out. Engineers are probably nodding with pride. Accountants are running the numbers with a satisfied grin, and environmentalists are giving a quiet fist pump. But here's the thing. None of that soothes the sting for Hemi fans. Why? Because the Hemi wasn't just an engine. It was an experience. Picture it. A Ram 1500 rolling down the road, its deep, thunderous growl spilling out of the exhaust like a war drum. Heads didn't turn because it was flashy. They turned because it commanded attention. That sound wasn't just noise. It was a statement. It said, this truck means business. For Ram owners, the Hemi wasn't just under the hood. It was under their skin. Driving one meant joining a tribe. A muscle-bound brotherhood with the best soundtrack on the road. Now, enter the Hurricane. The new kid. Twin-turbo, high-efficiency, tech-forward. It's smart. It's potent. It's clearly the result of sleepless nights and precision engineering. But here's the rub. It's quiet. Too quiet. It whispers, I got power, while the Hemi used to roar, try me. And for longtime Ram loyalists, that whisper feels a lot like silence. Sure, the Hurricane might edge out the Hemi on paper. Better torque curves, cleaner emissions, more efficiency. But numbers aren't everything. This isn't just the difference between winning a race. It's the difference between feeling it. It's the piano virtuoso versus the guitar, God shredding until your chest vibrates. One is technically perfect. The other makes your pulse jump. That's the space the Hemi lived in. To be fair, Ram's move makes sense long-term. The pressure is real. Fuel economy, emissions targets, tightening regulations. The math is there. The logic is solid. But logic doesn't soften the blow. Because the Hemi wasn't just a powertrain. It was a legacy. And walking away from that kind of legacy, that's not just a business decision. It's the end of an era. And timing couldn't be more fragile. Ram, and Stellantis overall, is already on thin ice. Price confusion, stale models, a sluggish response to shifting market trends. This isn't just another bump in the road. It's a turning point. But maybe, just maybe, this recent wave of price cuts is the jolt they need. The reset button. The beginning of a comeback. So what does it mean for the industry? If Stellantis can actually pull this off, if they can pair bold pricing with solid products, it could trigger a seismic shift. Ford and GM won't take it lying down. If Stellantis starts clawing back market share, the gloves are coming off. Get ready for round 2 of the truck wars. And this time, it might get even nastier. But here's the plot twist. Price wars aren't all bad. They can be rough on margins, sure. But for consumers, they're a jackpot. Imagine walking into a dealership and realizing that dream truck, the one you figured was out of reach, is suddenly within your budget. That's not just a good day. That's a great day. The market becomes this high-stakes playground where the buyers call the shots. Of course, and there's always a but, automakers can't just go slashing prices without a game plan. Affordability is only half the battle. If Stellantis sacrifices build quality or reliability to chase lower price tags, it's going to blow up in their face. The goal isn't to be the cheapest truck on the lot. It's to be the best value truck on the lot. A truck that feels like a steal, not a gamble. And let's not forget the people in the trenches, the dealers. They're the face of this whole operation. If Stellantis really wants this strategy to work, they need those dealerships fully aligned. No sneaky markups, no nonsense add-ons, no shady fees and high-demand zip codes. This needs to feel like a real win for the buyer. If it doesn't, it's dead on arrival. You know the routine. You walk into the dealership thinking you're about to score a killer deal, and then, bam, a stack of surprise fees suddenly crashes the party. Classic bait and switch. And that right there, that's where Stellantis has a golden opportunity. If they can get their dealers on board, really on board, with this price-cutting play, and make sure those price tags don't get bloated with market adjustments and sneaky markups, they could win big. This isn't just about competing, it's about changing the game. Because here's the thing, price wars might squeeze profit margins, but they also kick the door wide open for consumers. More people and more cars. It's that simple. But it only works if Stellantis gets the balance right. Cut costs, sure, but don't cut corners. Quality still has to deliver. Every trim, every model, every mile. And the biggest test? The dealerships. They need to be more than just compliant. They need to be all in. No shell games. No hidden fees. Just clean, transparent pricing that earns trust. Stellantis might need to grease the wheels a bit. Think incentives, bonuses, shout-outs for dealerships that stick to the plan and deliver real value. Because if they can do that, Stellantis stops being a maybe. It becomes the destination. Bold vehicles, honest prices, no drama. Let's not forget, volume is power. Lower margins per sale can work if the cars move. Faster turnover, stronger loyalty. And if done right, this becomes more than a short-term boost. It's the foundation for a long-term comeback. This isn't just about slashing stickers. It's about restoring trust, rebuilding momentum, and reminding the market who Stellantis really is. Jeep Grand Cherokees priced like they belong in real driveways. Ram 1500s that feel worth it again. It's a shot at redemption and maybe, just maybe, the beginning of a full-on renaissance. So what do you think? Is this Stellantis moment to rise? Will they pull off the comeback of the decade? Or is this just another headline that fizzles out? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We're all ears. And hey, if this breakdown gave you something to think about, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to tap the bell so you never miss what's coming next. Still curious? Click that video on your screen right now for even more insight into the wild ride that is the auto industry. Catch you in the next one.